Let's start with the fact that all said and done, when I look at the mutual fund investors or direct equity investors, most of the investors are men. So, what I want to start with, perhaps, Anuradha, with you, your firm has invested in a couple of wealth tech firms, including Scriptbox and Kaleidofin. Let's start with have you done any research on what proportion of your investors are women, and what have you found about the way women interact with their money and investing?
Sure. First of all, thank you very much for having on the panel. It's great to be here. It is a topic which is actually also close to me personally, both as a woman and as a mother. So just to start off with, like the question that you had, Hansi, like for Flourish is actually and Omidyar Group as well is interested in improving the lives of individuals, right? In that kind of a context, it was very important for us to look at how to build prosperity so that like human beings are able to make better decisions. That's the power of finance as far as, like we are concerned, that money gives you the ability to manage your life better, and therefore look for those kind of investments that help people improve their prosperity, their living conditions, and then build on top of that so that they're consistently like making better decisions in life. So in that kind of a context, we have invested in Scriptbox, which is a wealth tech platform for across like the board, and Kaleidofin, which focuses much more on the lower income segments. Um, like as expected, Kaleidofin actually like has many more women on its platform. It's like actually more than 2/3 of its platform are women. With Scriptbox, it's closer to 1/3, about 36%, if I'm not mistaken. But they do form a significant proportion of the investing population. In this, we also actually, from a perspective of ensuring financial prosperity, we consistently look at financial lives of people, and therefore, in that context, have done a lot of primary research. One of the key things that comes up, like just as a stereotype that you mentioned, there is a stereotype that women actually manage the expenses of the household and men manage the savings stroke investments, right? Now, to a large extent, that stereotype kind of like came through even in the research. But what we also found out was that, it has nothing to do with skills, right? It has to do with how people think. If you look at women, they're managing money on a day-to-day basis. Every day there is money management, which is required for them, be it liquidity, be it savings, whatever. So it was an important finding. And when we asked people, you deal with money anyways, right? So why is it that you think that you would not be good at saving? It takes a moment for them to process that information. The second thing is that we also found women, as they are transacting, look for a good bargain. I'm sure that it is like, I'm not sure how gender specific it is, but we know that women do look for a good bargain. And that bargain is very important to them because they save from that expense and put away that savings for something else. In the low income category, it actually like goes towards like very household related expenses. In the higher income categories, it goes towards something that they might want to buy for themselves, right? Either ways, it is asset driven in that kind of a context, right? And then we tell people that you save, right? Like why is investment is a step from savings? Why do you think you can't do that? So it takes many rotations of the wheel to get women there. And I think a lot of that has to do with the dynamics of the household and the fact that you're not actually it isn't an obvious step. Many people, just households by itself, even men, do not understand the difference between savings and investments, right? Like many people save. I think like whole of India saves. It is just that there is a difference between how you save, and investing actually helps you build your wealth. And I think that recognition is still not there in many households. And the household dynamics and like sort of like lead women towards believing that they're better not investing. And maybe like sometimes it is about like the fact that most financial products are sold to you, which means people throw jargon at you, and the multitasking woman that you are, you don't have time for all that, right? You're not going to sit and ask them what exactly it is, right? You just don't have the time. So think of people in that kind of a context, and therefore, a societal dynamic, a selling dynamic, and a household dynamic makes women, like less inclined towards investing. We stop there.
Okay, right. So as you said, it's not a skill issue, it's a mindset issue. And that's something that I think I found as well, that so the same party that I started talking to these men, I mean, not the investment banking guys, but in other parties where I've met doctors, lawyers, all kinds of very well educated men. Again, they ask me, what do you do? And I work in finance. And then they proceed to start telling me about the stock market, about why the market is tanking and why this is happening. And I'm looking at them saying, I just told you I work in finance and you are a doctor or lawyer. What makes you think that you know more about stock markets than I do? In my head, I'm thinking that. Obviously, I'm not saying this, which leads me to an interesting insight, which has been borne out by research as well. It's not that women don't know about something, it's that they don't feel confident about it. So they actually know as much or as little as men do. Okay. Selecting mutual funds, selecting stocks is something that not all of us are born with. Okay. Everybody has to study. So men and women know the same, but men feel more confident and women don't. Then, as you said, the other stereotype is that the division of labor is such that women look after the house, men look after the investing. That would be okay if all the investments were also in the men and women's name and they kept them abreast of what's going on. But that doesn't happen.
An investor education and awareness initiative of Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.